Hey guys! That's how all the YouTubers open up their YouTube videos. Hey guys, it's the Dave DY Show back at you. Yeah, I'm not gonna use the buzzy hey guys. This show is about CBD. Oil, edibles, tinctures, vapes, you name it, bath bombs, salves, whatever you got. Here comes the fire. Here comes the po-po. CBD. So if you don't know, CBD, which is cannabidiol, is a byproduct of a cannabis plant. Cannabis is a plant that comes in multiple forms. There are natural forms, and the natural forms, what we used to call, my brother grew 40 years ago, skunk weed, and non-marijuana-based hemp. So there are two different types of marijuana cannabis plant. There's sativa and indica. The sativa is more hemp-based. It's got a thinner leaf. It looks more like a tree. It's got a large stalk. It thins at the top. It's still got the traditional marijuana-shaped leaves that you often see. They're just thinner. And it doesn't per se have the massive flowers on them that you normally see, the giant buds that grow on indica plant. Unfortunately, this has become huge money. So there are tons of hybrids. Just like farmers, you've had botanists and plant biologists, whatever, that have cross-pollinated these things and created all these strains. And it is big science now, down to a genetic level, down to the seed level, the seed genes and all that shit. And that's how you get, in some of these states, California, Colorado, some of the tips of the spear that really spearheaded this. And then Canada and other places around the globe, right? Mexico, Central America, where they grew huge amounts of marijuana or cannabis. And it would have been cannabis indica, primarily. That is the wild or the natural growing cannabis plant that has high levels of THC. THC is the psychotropic component of marijuana, which is derived from a cannabis indica plant. However, all these things have grown naturally in Nebraska, naturally around the world for eons, right? Hemp. And hemp is used as paper. It's used in textiles as thread for clothing. You can use it to make rope. You can use it in products. You can put hemp into household products, paint, all kinds of shit. It's everywhere. It's like corn. Corn husks, corn stalk, corn, high fructose corn syrup, right? Corn's everywhere. Hemp's the same. It is in fact one of the newest cash crops in this country. In this country, the United States of America, where farmers in decades have not seen this type of potential. And it seems with the recent legislation at the state levels, not per se at the federal level, that the growing of cannabis, both sativa and indica, continue to occur and often are overlooked by the federal government, the Drug Enforcement Agency, the Food and Drug Administration, whoever governs these things federally, right? They still make massive busts, but the legislation has boomed with states that legally allow the growth of cannabis indica, which is marijuana, and the 50 states of the union no longer prohibit the growth of cannabis sativa, which is hemp. Can be grown everywhere. A byproduct of hemp and cannabis indica both hemp and marijuana, a byproduct, can be the grinding up and the pulpifying and then the removal, extraction of oil from the plant. The oil can contain a ton of components in it, genetic components and chemical components. Marijuana often has a high level of THC. What's THC? It is not CBD. CBD is cannabidiol. THC is more accurately known as tetrahydrocannabinol. Tetrahydrocannabinol. Tetrahydrocannabinol is, and I think it's got a 9 delta tetrahydrocannabinol. It's a chemical that is strongly psychoactive. It can have known effects on pain reduction, nausea. It can provide healthier sleep. It can lower stress levels. However, it can cause anxiety, paranoia, and again, this is individually based. They found generalities, but it differs per individual. So tetrahydrocannabinol is the component, the psychoactive component, the hallucinogen, the high of marijuana, THC. CBD, cannabidiol, has no high. There are probably 60 plus chemical components that can come out of cannabis. Cannabis indica and sativa, hemp and marijuana. Marijuana has a whole slew of them, of which THC is higher often. Hemp has to be classified where it has less than, I think, 0.03% THC, or 0.3%, not 0.3, 0.03, 3%, not 30%, of THC in its output, its byproduct. So you can smoke it, you can do anything you want, just like you do with marijuana, cannabis indica with cannabis sativa. You won't have the same effect, right? It doesn't have the psychoactive components in it, THC and whatnot, that cause the hallucination and the high, the loss of mental acuity, or the gain of mental acuity, as some would say. So hemp's got to be less than 0.3%, not 0.03. And marijuana usually has between 5 and 35% THC, right? That's psychoactive drug, chemical. CBD is fully legal in all 50 states, cannabidiol. CBD has become associated, not through tests, but primarily through organic, communal, individual, national use, or global use, with a number of viewed or stated beneficial effects. And as we've all heard for decades, not many negative effects, even though marijuana has been qualified and classified as a Schedule 1 drug, like heroin. The worst drugs there are, opioids, heroin, whatever. Marijuana is scheduled as that. It's often called a gateway drug in the 40s, 50s, 60s, Mary Jane, right? It would make you crazy, all those things. We've all heard all the hype and folklore around it. It is not harmless. The strains that they grow today, as I've stated, are scientific. They're researched. They're explicitly and chemically understood. Their chemical makeups, the values of THC, CBD, there's a ton of other chemical components in it. When you put CBD with THC, it seems that there is a synergistic effect, meaning CBD, cannabidiol, has the ability, because it impacts your cannabinoid system in the human, We have an internal system, a cannabinoid system inside of us that regulates inflammation, that regulates components of your gut biome. They're still investigating this, but it's global throughout our system. From our brain, in our neurons, through the blood-brain barrier, down to all of our organs, through our, nervous system, through our blood system, into all aspects of our human anatomy. This drug, CBD, amplifies the effects of other drugs on that cannabinoid system. So often it amplifies the effect of alcohol, or when you smoke marijuana, the effect of the THC with the neurons, with the way that that chemical interacts with your brain, causing those psychotropic, those psychoactive effects, hallucinations, high, out-of-body experience, the lack of feeling, the calm, the otherworldly aspects, the paranoia, the anxiety, right? All those things. That cannabidiol amplifies the effect of those other chemicals in marijuana. It does that with other chemicals that aren't marijuana if you ingest, such as opioids, such as alcohol, such as pills, cocaine, whatever. Because that's what it does. It stimulates this human system that we have that responds globally and kicks off a number of processes internally, such as the reduction of inflammation, meaning it stunts, it blocks all of those processes that flood to joints, to an injury. CBD blocks or slows some of that down. So when you take your ibuprofen or you take your acetaminophen, right? Ibuprofen is a great drug for inflammation reduction. Cannabidiol, CBD, does the same thing, but naturally. It's not a manufactured chemical. It's simply removed from the cannabis sativa hemp plant. And it's removed often in an oil format. They crush it, or they compress it, squeeze it out, or they, cook it out and distill it, whatever they do. There's tons of methods that they do this nowadays, and they do this for marijuana plants, cannabis indica, and they do it for hemp plants, cannabis sativa, non-marijuana plants. So this thing has blown up around the country, around the globe. CBD has been stated, as I said, non-scientifically. A lot of small trials and research, nothing huge. I think the biggest trial for CBD was 24-person trial. So no real clinical trials to show scientifically what this thing is, right? Because for the most part, marijuana has been confused with anything that looks like it, which is the hemp plant. Hemp's been around for generations. Federally, it's been disdained, it's illegal, right? So the whole thing's been pushed aside. And some pretty high-profile individuals, Timothy Leary, individuals like that, Joe Rogan, and a lot of urban legend style, or you have to be in the know for these individuals to know popularly that they were big sellers and big scientific researchers and cross-pollinating and creating new strains of marijuana, of cannabis, of both the indica and the sativa styles all along for the last 50 years. Really since the 60s, Woodstock, the 70s generation, when marijuana really erupted on the scene, right? Well, it's legal right now in 50 states, as I said. CBD is a legal byproduct of hemp, of cannabis sativa. It's not federally regulated. It's not on the Class 1 substances list. That's marijuana. That's indica, or strains of that. Meaning they have high levels of THC. That's it. Tetrahydrocannabinol. That's it. So CBD is now available through a huge market. And again, CBD is grown globally. So it's grown in Central America, it's grown in Mexico, it's grown in China. Any climate, it's grown. Hemp, marijuana are grown. Unless they're heavily regulated by governments, and even then, they're grown, they're cash crops. So this stuff can come from anywhere in the world. It's not regulated. It doesn't run through any type of regulatory system. The farms, the processing, the packaging, the delivery, the storage, the preparation, what they do with it, any of that, all unregulated. That's dangerous. That means that you never really know what you're getting for a product, ever. Even though you might have labs somewhere that test whatever this product is and state, these are the components of this product. And you would hope that whomever prepared that product and sells it replicates that scientifically, identically, in some type of automation in a tooled fashion. Probably not the case. Often these things are grown in secret locations, right? Sometimes they're grown outdoors. In the US, it's starting to become industrialized with giant greenhouses, grow centers. Hydroponics is massive. But primarily that's for cannabis indica, the marijuana strains. Though there's they don't get as much money, they get good money. CBD is much cheaper than THC based products, than the psychoactive products, right? It seems to be that's where the young people, the folklore, the romance, of all of this cannabis craze came from. So CBD, as I said, is legal. It's not regulated, and you can buy a number of products online. You can buy them in health food stores. You can buy them in makeup stores. You can buy them at supermarkets. They're everywhere. If you haven't seen them, don't know if you're that aware. Cannabidiol, CBD-based products are everywhere. They are salves. From Blue Moon Hemp, Cream Blue. It's Blue Emu cream that has 125 milligrams of CBD in it. So this is rubbed topically on the body. And it removes pain and inflammation at the joint area. It's absorbed through your skin and it has a similar effect. It's not heavy smelling, it's your normal type cream. They have bath bombs. They have ingestibles in a daily amount, daily dose, or a style of tincture, and it's an oil. This is 7 milligrams. No THC. They all state that. They have wraps. These are organic wraps that you can put tobacco, like a rolling paper, or marijuana, or whatever you want into it. Roll it and smoke it. Vegan wraps. These are made from hemp. These supposedly have plus CBD plus. When these are tested, the majority of these, the wrap, the leaf, does not have high levels of CBD in it. Not even high levels of CBD. But available there. They're available through vaping. With a vape cartridge, CBD oil, this one is 250 milligram, and a vape pen, a charger, and a pen. They can be disposable, where you use the product, maybe you fill it with oil, maybe you throw the product out once the oil's gone. I have not vaped. Vaping is not smoking. It is the inhalation of an oil that's heated through those products, through this pen with batteries, out the tube, and it's a mist that you inhale. It is not smoking. Much different than smoking. Haven't done that. I don't like inhalation products. I don't like products that mess up with my lungs. Also, these things come in many flavors. Vapes are known to come in many flavors. If you were unaware, the popcorn the microwave popcorn craze determined in the 90s, the 80s, 90s, that there's a chemical called diacetyl in it, diacetyl, and it is the flavoring for the popcorn, and it's also the flavoring that goes into all vape pens, just about all, unless it's stated no diacetyl. That causes the popcorn lung. One of the chemicals that causes popcorn lung. The popcorn lung is the scarring of your alveoli, the little teeny sacs that open and control the airflow in your lungs. And you have shortness of breathing, you'll have slow suffocation, you'll have liquid buildup and scarring. Your volumized breath in will be reduced. It's a bad scene, man. Popcorn lung is brutal. That's why I don't like ingesting any product through inhalation. Don't like smoking. I smoke cigars, I don't inhale. You can buy gummy bears. You can buy gummy worms. 500 milligram. And they are infused with CBD oil. You can buy bubble gum. 50 milligrams per CBD oil. You can buy gummy bears, giant ones, 1,500 milligrams. This was full of gummy bears. 1,500 milligrams. This was full of gummy bears. I'm storing some stuff in it now. This one was 2,500 milligrams. And it comes out to be, and again, they state this in the packaging, completely unregulated. It's unknown what the real CBD content is. For a lot of these that are sent to the lab, the CBD content, cannabidiol content, is higher than what they state. Meaning they dump some oil in, they make a batch, they take the oil, they put it into a product such as Jello or cellulose to make gummy bears, right? The stuff that comes from nails, horse, pig, cow nails, and whatever, that makes gelatin, right? That you then make gummy bears or anything else out of, that spongy stuff, or gum, whatever. They put the oil in it, they mix it into whatever the product is, and then they craft the product. Gummy bears, gum, a tincture. This is just oil that you can mix. It can be the hemp oil itself. It can be flavored. It can be totally different types of oil. It can be honey based, whatever you want. It's got a dropper in it. This is a tincture of it, the drop. You have about 30 of those dropper fulls in this. This comes in different quantities. It can come in 1,000 or 1,500 milligram, 2,500, 3,000, 3,500, 4,500 milligram content in this bottle of CBD. CBD has been known, not proven, known to have effects on stress, on anxiety, on inflammation, on and again, there's only a small proven, scientifically researched component of what CBD has been scientifically proven to do, and that's with seizures. And it was with it was called the Epidiolex studies. They were clinical trials with CBD using a output of CBD, a drug product called Epidiolex. And that was given to a 24-person trial and 5 randomized clinical trials. That was for individuals that had seizures, epileptic seizures. That's why they called it Epidiolex. You'd go into an epileptic seizure, you had the potential to swallow your tongue. We've seen them, the grand mal or petit mal seizures. They would give you CBD. The CBD, the inflammation and whatever it does in your cannabinoid system, the human cannabinoid system, had a direct impact at some high levels, usually not in the 50 or 100 milligram levels. These cats had to take 500 or 1,000 or 1,500 milligrams a day, right? And it would lessen or remove the epileptic seizures, which are usually brain induced, right? I don't know if they're in your cerebral cortex, if they're in your whatever component of your brain they're in. So this thing has some pretty potent potentials, but not a lot of proven gains. I'm 49. I had a ton of inflammation. I had a ton of joint pain. I've always been heavy in the last 15 years since I turned 30. I went from 170, 175, 168 at my best, up to 215, and then at my worst, right now I'm 255, 260. We have a propensity for fatness in my family. I've stated this in the past. We love to eat. I have a propensity for muscle mass. Came from, I think, my father and my mother. We can put on body weight, we can put on muscle. Big. My brother Douglas is big. We have not used anabolic steroids. We have not used any other type of hormone. Non-anabolic hormones, human growth hormone, or insulin, or any of that shit. It's not the way we roll. But been able to put muscle mass and be able to lift weight and growth relatively quickly and pretty well on our frames. Big dogs die young. That's a bad thing. So since I've been about 35 to 49 right now, tons of inflammation, my joints, my knees. I've got some injuries and pain, whatever. Those are worse. But a lot of inflammation. And I've always felt I had some type of autoimmune system issue. Probably from some adult relationships, unprotected sex or whatever. I've been tested. I've had all my blood tested for everything, all my blood tests. CBC, Chem 7, your HIV, everything. All your normal stuff. All negative. But I feel like I have some type of autoimmune thing where sometimes my breath is hot. I have fatigue. I have inflammation in my joints. I have achiness. And maybe it's the flu. Who the hell knows? It seems like there's more and more strains of that. So in September, I started taking these gummies and tinctures. So I took gummy bears and the oil. And small amounts, 5 or 6 drops out of the tincture, out of the dropper, the oil, like in the morning. 3 or 4 or 5 gummy bears before sleep. They're supposedly 25 milligrams per. It has been a game changer. My personal view. Clarity of thought. I'm calmer. I have a more stable demeanor. I'm a pretty fiery individual. My entire adult life, through work and through socialization and family, I've been quick to react, very passionate or fiery or angry, not violent, but very emotional and very explosively emotional. This stuff has removed that edge. The inflammation in my body is gone. The inflammation in my gut biome, my bowels, where I had irregular bowel movements based upon what I ate or how I was training or the fatigue or the inflammation in my body, stabilized. Sleep, better sleep. Not the kind of sleep where you sleep soundly or, whatever. I have many nights where I still roll around, I wake up, I have to go to the bathroom, whatever. But better sleep, meaning I think. I go into a deeper sleep, a REM sleep, my body rests, there's recuperation. It's not like taking a ton of Benadryl, right? Diphenhydramine or something, where it knocks your consciousness out and you are pseudo-comatose, therefore removed. And your body just lays there, right? Because you're under an influence of a drug that sedates you heavily, or fentanyl, right? Or any of those drugs. Not that way. This is more like a brain calm, where you are more peaceful, you're more fit to lay there, you don't have the thoughts in your brain, you lay down, you sleep. There's good solid sleep into a REM state where your body's healing and recovering. It's not the high level sleep, it's the deeper sleep. Had that experience often now. There are clear benefits to me. I'm 255 pounds right now, the heaviest I've weighed in decades. I feel great. I feel powerful. I feel minimal inflammation unless I work out hard. Then I have muscle soreness, lactic acid buildup. I have some minor injuries. They'll ache. This stuff has been a game changer, a lifesaver for me. No ifs, ands, or buts. There is a placebo effect. I'm not of that. Dude, I take vitamins every day. I don't know if they help. I've taken at one time 100 pills. My father did this. Took 100 pills. Vitamin D, vitamin B, B12, niacin, vitamin C, 81 milligram. I had bottles of shit. I'd go to a place that produced. I watched Joe Rogan or Dr. Rhonda Patrick. I buy the shit that they're taking. Your gut and the acid in your gut pretty much breaks down anything. I don't know how available and how functional that stuff is after it's absorbed through and digested and decimated by the stomach. This stuff, the tincture, the oil, you can take and place sublingual under your tongue for 30 seconds, and there's absorption into your body, into your bloodstream, into your system. If you ingest it and you eat it, probably 30 minutes later, you eat gummy bears, you'll start to feel the calming effect. And it's a calm. It's not cloudiness of your mind or thought. Your thought is just as sharp. It's just a calm. You feel calmer. You can feel it. Like, take a chill pill. Chill out. That's a weird way. That's a sort of how this feel is. And this stuff has changed my ability to function on a daily and a nightly basis. I'm sure there's going to be more scientific study. This is a billion-dollar industry. It's going to get bigger and bigger, and they will come to find out that there's pros and cons on this. They'll find, destructive or not productive things that come from CBD and come from cannabis in general. But I've seen and I've experienced the benefits, the pros on this. And it has changed my ability to live, especially at this size, which is why I'm at 255. For the last 7 years, I have stated to myself, if I did not lose weight, I would die. Those were the types of experiences I was having, where I'd lay in bed. I'd have gastrointestinal issues. I'd have bloating. I'd have discomfort. I'd have horrible bowel movements. It would pressure my lungs. It would give me irregular heartbeats. I mean, bad shit, where I felt horrible. Sweats. I went to the doctors 12 times, 15 times. I've had every scan. I've had every MRI. I've had every blood body test. I've had ultrasounds on my groin. Is it cancerous? Do I have a growth? Dude, they've studied my entire left side. They've done stuff in my head. Nothing. Which, you're hypochondriac. Maybe, and it might just be a factor of my size. I don't do well in a big body at 250 pounds. I've taken this stuff since September in some quantity, some way, shape, or form, and it's now the new year. Nothing. Revolutionary. Epic. No placebo effect. And I've cycled. I've gone off of it. We went on vacation. I didn't take it. We went for 11 or 12 days during Christmas. And I feel the effects. It's harder getting up. My body gets stiffer. I'm 49 years old. I've worn it a lot. Busted a lot of weights. I've been active. I've broken a lot of shit. Done a ton of stuff. I haven't been sedentary for the most part. Proven or unproven, this has had a massive impact on how I feel, how I operate, my mental, my physical, my psychological, my social aspects of living. There's nothing else. I've changed diets. I don't take medications. I've changed activity. I've changed location where I've lived. I've changed my schedule, waking up early, waking up late. I've changed everything, and I've done it with some science to it, doing an analysis, doing it in a regular fashion, doing it for a period to see if there is effect, right? I've gone to not a carnivorous diet, but a very low carb diet. Some aspects where I only ate meat, almost carnivorous for periods of time. They all had effects. Nothing had an effect like this. Nothing has had an effect like this. And I am averse to drugs. I grew up with them in the house. My brother, my sisters used them heavily. My brothers, My sisters use them heavily. Any type, marijuana, hashish, cocaine, crack, LSD, acid, all of it. I saw it as a teenager. Didn't use it, but this has been revolutionary. Yeah, so September, October, November, December, I've used this. I've used it in small quantities, less than 100 milligrams a day. Probably somewhere in the realm of 50 to 80. As I said, I'd do 6 drops or I'd do 5 or 6 gummy bear. The thing with CBD, cannabidiol, it has a, and I can't recall the terminology, it's a reverse addictive effect, meaning that the longer you take it, your body needs less of it for the same reaction. Whereas for opioids, the longer you take opioids, oxycodone, Oxycontin, your body needs greater chemical, greater drug to have the same effect. Which is why you have individuals that are taking these pain medications for chronic pain, hip replacements, age, whatever. And they have to take increasing number of pills during the day, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 50 pills for the same pain management. Because as your body takes that drug longer and longer, it needs a higher dose for the same effect. Cannabidiol is reverse. You'll see that it takes lower and lower doses for the same effect. The more I hear about it, it's almost the fairy tale, the Cinderella type drug. I hope we start to see clinical type studies on this. It has to occur for scientific research to show scientifically how this drug interacts with our bodies and what the real benefits and detriments are to the human physiology, right? To our systems. I have a feeling that the vast majority of some of these perceived benefits will be proven. I have a feeling that there will be some negative effects. There always is. Anything taken in mass doses has a negative effect on you ultimately. It'll damage your stomach lining. It constipates you. You have an overcollection in fatty tissues. Something somewhere that when you take it in large quantities, 500, 1,000 milligrams, a gram of this stuff a day, that it has a potential to harm you in some way, even though it's providing you with massive benefits on something that is debilitating. Pain, stress, anxiety, seizures, whatever. We pick the lesser of the evils, but we have to have those studies to determine that these are in fact the functions and the output of cannabidiol, CBD. There are other chemical elements in hemp, other derivatives. It's not CBD, it's CBG. There's other ones that also have suitable benefits. This plant is a cornucopia. Cannabis, a cornucopia of potentials for humans. And we're finally seeing this thing investigated properly, regulated somewhat properly, or moving toward regulation and popularity where it is properly reviewed, tested, governed, taxed, packaged, sold, regulated, all those components of a healthy communal use and interaction of a product, right? I hope it comes sooner than later, because my personal statement to all of you is I will continue to take this for a while. I don't want to stay on anything other than my aspirin, which is ridiculous. The FDA states that I should take 81 milligrams, so like a retard, like a sheep, I've taken 81 milligram aspirin for 20, 30 years now. My family had a history of heart disease. On one side, or maybe on both sides, I don't know. Enlarged coronary artery, arterial sclerosis, things like that. So I've taken an 81 milligram forever. I've always felt I was going to die from a heart attack or from cancer, because I grew up in upstate New York, right near Love Canal, Niagara Falls, Buffalo, Bethlehem Steel, Union Carbide, 10 different chemical companies dumping into the land and the water table for 50 years. Give me a break. You're ingesting shit heavy metals. You're ingesting fucking carbon chemicals. Yeah, dude, stuff that'll kill you. Those plants were deadly, right? And they probably did kill dozens, hundreds of people. Tons of my relatives have died from cancer. Tons of my neighbors have died from cancer. And it's a huge cancer, high cancer area, and it's known. And if anybody tells you differently, they're fucking lying. That area is a cesspool, a dump. Horrible. So I've taken an 81 milligram. I don't know if that's foolish. I don't know if it's having an effect. I've never seen anything that states out good that you should. I've taken it for 20, 30 years. I'm taking a D3 and a B12 right now because I've been tested and I had deficiencies in both of those. Dramatic deficiencies. As you age, your vitamin D levels drop. That's a known in males. It's shown. And in humans in general, women too, but not like women with calcium where it drops and drops and they lose bone mass. So I'm taking a D3, a B12, and an 81 milligram, and that's it. That's all I've ever taken. That's what I've reduced to 10 years ago, right? This stuff I'm going to take for 6 months and see how I feel. Ultimately, I have to lose the body weight. I have to drop back down to 200 to be healthy. But this CBD has become a godsend. It's a game changer for me. I can function normally now with this shit. And I'm not a pro football player that took 30 years of high collisions, right? That had traumatic brain injuries, right? CTI, cardiocephaloid, whatever. The fucking killing of your brain areas, right? Where your CT scan shows dead zones. That's not me, though. I've had, major concussions, jumped off a fucking swing set, 10 feet on my head on the concrete, right? Didn't kill you. Fucking went, saw lines in my eyes, major fucking trauma. Blamed one of the kids, I don't know if I blamed him. My father was livid. Just messes. But I've had multiple concussions. But nothing to that degree, but I still see the benefits of this use. And I'm going to continue to do it probably for another 2 months and then see how I feel. Ultimately here I've got to lean up, so that's going to come. But this has been a game changer. I can't say it again, but I just did. And I can't wait for the research. If you are on opioids, if you're taking gobs of pills, if you have high pain management going on right now, if you have high anxiety and stress, if you have depression, I would strongly urge you to go to your doctors, and say, I want to start a basic regimen of like 50 to 100 milligrams of cannabidiol, CBD oil, today. I want to do it daily. The price is relatively cheap. You can get 1,500 milligrams in an oil dropper like this. This is 30 milliliters. You can get this for $65. I go exclusively through Groupon. I've gone through a handful of companies that completely are unregulated. Hookahtown, right? Or My CBD, or Vape Gods. I mean, dude, pick them. All what you'd expect names for this stuff, and it's epic. I've gone through Live Green Hemp. I've gone through Jolly Green Oil. Again, all of these deals that I pursue for CBD are through Groupon. For the most part, you get good deals. You can go out and spend $150, $250, $350 on, say, 3,500 milligram, 30 milliliter dropper of CBD. And some of those providers will state that they are lab tested, regulated, and all that. And maybe that's worth that dollar amount. For me, I never made that connection, so I never pursued that. But I've gotten good products all of which seemingly work pretty well through Groupon. And as I've said, it's a number. And I've never had a bad experience. Nothing psychotropic. I think I said psychokinetic. Psychokinetic and insane. Yeah, like I'm gonna what? Sue Richards. I wish I had psychokinetic powers. Psychotropic or psychoactive effects. I've never had any. None from use of this stuff. And I'm not taking it in large quantities. I'm not taking it in 200, 500, 1,000 milligram quantities. A gram of CBD a day. Never have. I have a hypersensitivity to most drugs. I can take 3 or 4 acetaminophen or ibuprofen and it has an effect on me. It affects my mental state. It's not an impairment, but I clearly feel foggy and diminished. Class 1 substances, stuff like that. Alcohol. I don't have to drink a lot. I don't have a high tolerance for alcohol. Even when I was drinking a lot, 8 or 10 beers, boom, right? Toast. My brother will drink 20 or 30 beers. We're the same genetics. Go figure. But this stuff has worked. I would implore anyone to go out and do some research on it, to contact their physicians, their primary care physician, their specialty care physicians, with whatever problems that they think that this potentially, if they make a connection, can help them with. As I said, general inflammation. The older you get, the more inflamed you feel in your joints, in your spine, in your neck, in your hips, your knees, your elbows, your wrists. And I think I have arthritic hereditary traits. My 23andMe, I think I have mildly more likely to have arthritis. My mother has arthritis. My father had arthritis. My father had arthritis, I think, from a lot of bone damage, from athletics and whatnot, and that makes sense. The broken bone, the differing degrees of the calcium and the healing and whatever takes place when that bone refuses. But any of those things, do some research. Look this stuff up. Don't brush it off. It's not voodoo. I've heard so many older folks, my age or greater, 49 or greater, voodoo, marijuana, they have no clue. This is holistic health. This is plant-based medicine. It's not the chemical shit that Big Pharma is pumping out, trying to addict and infuse and bury you with. And the prices are way more affordable. It's a joke, man. It shows you how our pharmaceutical companies have strangled this nation, and the government has allowed it because of the monies Big Pharma pays them. Fucking corruption as usual. And I'm somebody, dude, if you have, modern medicine is tremendous, saving lives. Prescription meds nowadays and the ads on TV are disgusting. They're just like drinking or smoking, but it's all legal. Just like smoking was legal. Have that smoke and have that menthol feel. It's the same shit. True Lester. Midas Dilza Billabub. Dude, what the fuck are you talking about? Get that shit off the TV. Stop giving my doctor samples so this asshole's pushing it. Stop paying the government so that they, turn a blind eye and don't regulate your shit. It's fucking unreal, especially down here where you have the blue hairs, you have the post or, early or close to or immediately following, and then the aging retirement communities. Everybody's here. Everyone here is on a cocktail of shit. Xanax, Prozac, fucking oxycodone, Oxycontin. Dude, they got pill boxes of shit. Fuck, it's unbelievable. This stuff has changed that for me. I take 3 crappy little pills a day and some of this junk in moderation, and I feel brand new. And you can tell I feel brand. If you looked at me in the last 5-6 years, dude, nothing like this. Epic. Hit the iron. My recovery, of course, is slower. I have to take 2 or 3 days off. I mean, I can't work out every day. I can't work out 5 days a week. My muscles, the lactic acid, I almost become debilitated in trying to recover, try to walk after leg day. When I was young, that was the case, but I could still operate. I just couldn't sit on the toilet. It had to be real gentle. Now, I mean, it consumes me. It breaks me down. I feel fatigue. I feel lethargic. I feel sore. I have to recover. That's age. And I'm not taking testosterone replacement therapy. You can have that too. Won't enlarge your heart and destroy your organs? Okay, safe. Fucking fake drugs to make it like you were 20. God damn, dude. This stuff works. Do the research, look at it. Don't take my word for it. Give it a shot. Do it for 2 weeks or a month. And then when you get nothing out of it, go off and say, I had no benefits, but I had these negative effects. I had no benefits, but I had no negative effects other than my wallet. I had these benefits, or I had no benefits, but this was mildly different. Or this is what I experienced. Benefit, benefit, benefit. And some weirdness. You know, a headache, dryness in my eyes or my mouth. There are some side effects, and read them. They're minimal. I mean, you got to do some research on it. I implore you to do that. And give me some comments, or subscribe, or some likes, or leave some statements, man, for the people out there that have done this. Spread the word. And I have no affiliation. I wish I did. It'd save me some money, but this stuff to me seems to work. I can't wait till we get some clinical output from it so that we can unequivocally state, we told you so. What are you doing? Why did it take a century for us to figure this shit out? Voodoo? Anyway, that's my chatter for today. Enjoy. Like, subscribe, comment. Hey guys, out.